Have you ever just stopped and thought about the sheer amount of life on this planet? We're talking millions and millions of species, from bacteria you can't even see to the blue whale, the largest animal that has ever lived. So how in the world do scientists keep it all straight? Well, today we're unlocking the massive, incredible filing system for all of life on Earth.
Right. This is the big question. It's the puzzle that has fascinated thinkers for literally centuries. How do you possibly build a system to organize every single living thing in a way that actually makes sense? Where do you even begin?
Well, the first step was just to try something. You can think of these early attempts as trying to organize a massive, chaotic library for the very first time, with no card catalog and books scattered everywhere. You got to start somewhere.
And you can really see the evolution of our thinking right here. It all starts way back with Aristotle, who basically just sorted things by what he could see. If it looked like a plant, it was a plant. If it acted like an animal, it was an animal. Simple. Then you fast forward 2,000 years to Carolus Linnaeus, who formalizes this into just two kingdoms, Plantae and Animalia. But the real revolution, the game changer, doesn't happen until 1969 when R.H. Whitaker finally gives us the five-kingdom system that we're going to break down today.
Now, Linnaeus's two-kingdom system was genius for its time, no doubt. But as our science got better and our microscopes got more powerful, trying to shove every living thing into just two boxes, plant or animal, started to get, well, really weird. We began to notice some very strange roommates sharing the same category.
And this is where the cracks really started to show. I mean, look at this. Fungi were just tossed in with the plants, but mushrooms don't do photosynthesis. They eat other things. And then you have bacteria, these incredibly simple cells called prokaryotes, being lumped in with complex multicellular trees. It just didn't work. The system was ignoring some of the most fundamental differences in all of biology, and it was clear a major update was needed.
And that brings us to our breakthrough moment in 1969. A biologist named R.H. Whitaker stepped in and proposed a much smarter, much more elegant solution. So instead of just looking at one or two simple things, Whitaker used a whole checklist of criteria. He asked the big questions. How is its cell built? Is it just one cell or many? How does it get its food? And maybe most importantly, what's its family tree? What's its evolutionary story? This approach was designed to create groups that were truly related, not just ones that looked kind of similar on the surface.
And boom, here is the result. This table is basically the Rosetta Stone for modern classification. The logic just leaps off the page. Just look at that top row, cell type. One kingdom, Monera, is prokaryotic. Every single other one is eukaryotic. It's clean, it's organized, and it just makes so much more sense. All right, now that we have the blueprint, let's do a quick tour of these five amazing kingdoms. Let's meet the family. First up, we've got the oldest and most widespread kingdom on the entire planet, Monera. This whole kingdom is basically bacteria. That's it. These are the true pioneers of life. Remember, they're prokaryotes, so their cells are super simple, with no real nucleus to speak of. But don't let that fool you. Their simplicity is their superpower. It lets them live everywhere, from boiling hot springs to the freezing Arctic to the bottom of the ocean. They are the tiny, tough, microscopic masters of our world. Okay, next up is the incredibly diverse and, let's be honest, kind of weird kingdom Protista. People often call this kingdom the junk drawer of biology, and for good reason. It's basically a catch-all group for all the single-celled eukaryotes that don't fit in anywhere else. But this junk drawer is full of treasure. It's a crucial evolutionary bridge between the simple bacteria and the other big kingdoms. You've got everything in here, from plant-like algae that produce a ton of our oxygen to animal-like predators hunting other microbes. It's a wild bunch. All right, let's dig into the kingdom of the great decomposers, the recyclers of nature, kingdom fungi. And here we see exactly why fungi needed their own kingdom. They aren't plants at all. They're heterotrophs, which means they absorb their food from other things, making them nature's essential cleanup crew. And get this, their cell walls are made of something called chitin. That's the same tough stuff you find in the exoskeletons of insects. And of course, we have fungi to thank for bread, cheese, and world-changing medicines like penicillin. Now for a kingdom we're all pretty familiar with, the green engine that powers our world, Kingdom Plantae. Right, from the smallest blade of grass to the most massive redwood tree, these are the great producers. They are autotrophs, absolute masters of turning sunlight, water, and air into food through photosynthesis. And that process doesn't just feed them. It forms the base of almost every food chain on land and pumps out the oxygen that we're breathing right now. And finally, we arrive at our home team. the kingdom that includes us and millions of other species. Animalia. This is the kingdom of movers and eaters. We're all heterotrophs, meaning we have to eat other things to survive. But the real secret to our success is what we don't have. Our cells don't have a rigid wall like plants or fungi, and that freedom allows for incredible flexibility, paving the way for muscles, nerves, and all the amazing things that let animals run, fly, swim, and, well, think.
But, wait a minute, what about the things that don't seem to fit into any of these 5 kingdoms? It turns out the story of life has some really strange outliers, existing right on the very edge of what it means to be alive.
Take viruses, for example. They aren't in any kingdom because, well, are they even alive? They're more like tiny biological robots. They're just a bit of genetic code in a protein shell, and they can't do anything on their own. They have to hijack a living cell and force it to make more copies of them. They exist in this weird, mysterious gray area between life and non-life.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any stranger, in 1971, scientists discovered viroids. These things are even smaller and simpler than viruses. A viroid is just a tiny, naked loop of RNA. No protective coat, no extra parts. It's pure, raw infectious information. And it's a perfect reminder that biology is always full of surprises. Looking at them side by side really makes it clear. A virus is a message, the genetic material, sealed inside an envelope, which is the protein coat. A viroid is just the message itself, with no envelope at all. It's why some people call it a naked virus, which is a pretty good way to think about it.
And all this brings us to a really powerful final thought. Whitaker's 5-kingdom system is an amazing tool, but it's not set in stone. Science isn't a book that's already been written. It's a story that's constantly unfolding. And as our technology gets more and more powerful, allowing us to see deeper into the machinery of life, you just have to wonder, what else is out there? Will we soon need a 6th kingdom, or maybe even a 7th? The search for answers is what it's all about.